Greetings, welcome. We're coming to you live from the Pennsylvania Farm Show, the 2023 Farm Show, and I'm here with our Secretary of Agriculture, Mr. Russell Redding.
Good to see you, Senator. Thank you.
It's wonderful to see you.
Happy New Year, happy Farm Show.
Happy New Year,
Yeah.
happy Farm Show.
Yes.
It's been great.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I feel like we're back where we left off, right? 2020 world seemed right. I think everybody, in the last 2 years said, I'm going for a milkshake, right?
Absolutely.
And they're back. So it's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling. I want to say thank you for all that you have done for Pennsylvania agriculture in Southern New York County in particular. And
I'm honored to do it.
Thank you to Nina, your lovely wife, and your family for sharing you with us. We're a big state.
We're a big state, and the partnerships that are both external and internal, right, to the household. So how's it work and making it work? And she's been amazingly, patient and supportive, but thank you.
Well, and she's been a great presence for agriculture in New York County as well. So we appreciate that, and congratulations. We understand that you have been nominated to continue your service as our Secretary of Agriculture.
I have, and I'm really honored, humbled every time I've got a chance to work over the years in different administrations and different politics and all that. It's just been an amazing journey of, Pennsylvania and public service, agriculture, to see it grow, and to see some of these kids who were in a show ring when I started, right, are now the parents of kids who are in the show ring. So it's a great development. Yeah.
It really is. So we've had a lot of challenges. We've worked through some difficult things. We've had some great opportunities and successes. So give me an idea of where we stand right now in Pennsylvania. High path, avian influenza. We've got a lot of chickens in Southern New York County. That's a big concern for us.
Major issue, and it's part of the reason we put a focus here at the Farm Show on biosecurity. There's no poultry here.
Right.
Obviously disappointed. Most frequently asked question is, where's the milkshake and where are the chickens? Right? And unfortunately, with High Path AI still active in PA, we've got 25 commercial flocks that were positive last year, and you've got an active migration season going to be kicking into gear here just any week. But we're going to be in high exposure, right? So we're worried about that. You've got a very dense poultry industry in York County.
We do. Very,
very dense, right? So we don't want to have a repeat of 2022. We'll do everything we can to keep it out of here. But the reality is, it's you're exposed, right? Because folks have backyard chickens. They've got, I call them sort of pleasure chickens.
Right.
Their expectations, they're not commercial enterprise. But the point is, it has nothing to do with the size of the operation. It's avian influenza, meaning it's poultry disease. And you can have one, you can have a full barn of them. But we've got to ask everybody who has them to be mindful, because that's how it travels, right?
Well, and we live in the Mid-Atlantic Flyway.
Yes.
I'm reminded of that every evening when the geese fly over my house from Harrydale Farms fields over to Lake Redmond.
Yes.
And we've got a lot of birds that are migratory, and that certainly is part of the challenge.
It's part of the challenge, right? So when we had High Path AI the last time, it was sort of a grounds problem. Right? This time it's an air problem, right? And when you look at the active flyway, as you know, in the Mid-Atlantic, there's a lot of chickens on the ground. There's a lot of geese in the air. So it's a worry.
So we're going to keep an eye on that.
Yes.
I know that a tremendous amount of the testing and the research is happening right here in Pennsylvania. I heard an astronomical number that over 20% of the research in the entire country is done right here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
How's that going to help our poultry farmers?
Well, it's proven to be, two things have proven to be critical. One is having the testing capacity at all.
Right.
The second is to have our lab system from the University of Pennsylvania Dept School, right, New Bolton Center, connected to Penn State University or land grant, and to the Department of Agriculture Animal Vet Lab, real-time connection. So anybody at Penn Vet knows what we're doing in Harrisburg in our laboratory. And that has been absolutely critical for decision making. This is all about time and getting those disease. If you have a disease, high path, contain it, suppress it. It's all about time. So that has been really a critical piece for us. And I want to thank you, just the final point on that. We're the only state out of all the states with High Path AI that have a recovery fund that we set up for our farms, only state that's done this, to be a bridge between, if they're positive, to get them back in business. And I think that's just been a really incredible statement of both diagnostic and support, but we also want to keep you in business, right?
Well, we do, and we know that 75% of agriculture in Pennsylvania is animal-related agriculture. And what we were hearing is that the insurance policies were not covering when a poultry farmer had to destroy their entire flock. Right. And that's economically devastating not only to that farmer, but to the economy around that farm. And we want to keep this very important segment of our economy up and running. So I'm glad we could work on that.
No, it's been good. And it's a $7.1 billion industry in the state, right? So we see that you have a couple of farms and a barn, but do that around the state. You've got 11,000 of these operations that are commercial and backyard. Probably 2,000 are commercial operations, but it doesn't take long, right, for that to sort of go down like dominoes. And that's what we saw playing out early in the spring of 2022.
We talked a little bit during appropriations about the concerns with energy costs, which impacts the price of fertilizer, impacts the cost of transportation. How is that impacting our farmers, and any thoughts on how we can address that?
Well, I think first of all, just having, the key ingredient to fertilizer is energy. Right, so having energy and natural gas gives you a head start, right? How we use it and use it in the formulation of fertilizer, I think, is something we should always be thinking about. Two is we have been fortunate that the pendulum on fertilizer and energy prices have sort of swung back and forth. Just lucky that the market price that we were able to sell corn, soybeans, and products for covered those additional increased costs. My worry last February, we had the unprovoked war in Ukraine, and we saw this skyrocket of both energy, right? I don't know, because a month from now, that crop is going in the ground, and we had no idea. So credit to the farmers who speculated, right, did what they needed to do, but we had a market that responded to that. So I'm hopeful as we look at 2023 that it will respond the same way, but we still have inflationary issues, and we have fertilizer prices and fuel. But anyhow, I'm optimistic about being able to manage through that. So,
well, we're fortunate to have tremendous energy resources, tremendous agricultural resources, and hopefully that can sustain our farmers and our farms. You and I have done a lot of work together on agritourism. Representative Barb Gleim and I had the legislation that was signed into law. We're seeing more and more family farms open up to the public. And give us a sense of how that law is impacting agritourism and our local farms in your county.
Well, I think it's working amazingly well. I think it responds to a strength of our state, of that diversity. We are blessed to have a lot of people in the neighborhood, right, who live around us and appreciate what we have. We have a lot of people who want to come here, right? So it's so complementary to ag. If you can take your buildings, take your property, take your enterprise, add value to that, invite somebody in, protect them on the liability side, right?
Absolutely.
That's all good stuff, right? Keeps the family there, maybe bring somebody back, adds some value to both quality of life, but also the economic benefits to the county and the farmer. Good stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speak to us about what you would like to address in your next term as Secretary of Agriculture.
Yeah, so we've made a lot of progress, right? But there's things that I really feel like now is the moment, right? There's a whole workforce issue. It shows up in so many ways. You travel around the farm show complex. I've been, 10 places today. In every single event or conversation, it may not start with workforce, but it ends with workforce. And they're worried about it, right? Both in terms of inspiring people to come in it, to keep the current employment. So I think the workforce issue and all of its dimensions, right? It's about both, getting people interested in ag. It's about hanging on to workforce you have and maybe upskilling because a lot of technology pieces are impacting agriculture. We're not exempt from that, right?
Sure.
So I think the workforce is one of the key pieces. The other is around the regulatory reform stuff, right? It's the other thing here. I mean, I go every place around, and everybody's got a concern about how do I get this, right? A permit, a system.
Right. I need to build a new barn, and
we have a conversation every day,
permitting
right?
process is really frustrating.
Yeah, we need to make it as easy as possible for people to do the right thing. It's the right thing, right? So I'm trying to help the environment. I want to build this building, whatever. So I think they're the things, and then put economic development in there, because you can't talk about the permit piece without economic development, because they go together. You can't talk about workforce without economic development. So I think they're all first cousins, right, these issues. So that's on the short list. We started on those things, made some progress, but when I look at the pressures that we have just to compete, we've got to be competitive. We've got to be competitive on timing, right?
Absolutely.
And dollars. So that's a short list, and excited about that. In addition to the Farm Bill and things that we've started, continue to grow that. But all good things.
Yes.
I'm excited about. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear you say that. I've certainly been an advocate for regulatory reform my entire tenure in the General Assembly, and I think that's an opportunity we can all work together for the betterment of our farm community and our broader economy, and I will look forward to hopefully working through that with you. You spoke about technology. We put together the Broadband Development Authority, worked through that legislation, now have had the opportunity to have you on that authority as well. I serve as the Senate Republican appointee to that authority. It's an exciting time. Speak a little about how you believe improved access to high-speed internet is going to benefit the farming community and rural Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I'd say we all learned through COVID. I mean, we had the problems pre-existent, right?
Right.
Then it's exacerbated because you realize that it's both how your kids are learning, it's where you get your health care, it's how you connect to people. If you're in the ag business, and what we've seen particularly is that this shift from people, it's where they shop, right? And if you can't put your product on the shelf, right, in e-platform, I mean, you're not going to be in business long, right? We had heard that play out over and over. That is one example where I think the technology limitations, so it has really haunted us. And you look at the frontier, so if you want to sell a ticket for an ag tourism, you go online. You want a good website, you go online.
Right.
That is just one example. And I think then you embed the equipment that is inside these tractors and inside packing houses for fruit, or just every single place. It permeates everything we do. So it is so transformative, it's so critical. I'm hopeful that the Broadband Authority, we can accelerate that.
Absolutely.
We're in a good place. So thank you for the support and work on that. We've got some investments. The governor-elect has talked about it as a priority, so I feel like it's in a good place.
Yeah, it's really not a partisan issue.
No.
Connectivity is important, whether you live in the most densely populated urban city or the most sparsely populated rural areas. So I always say from Philadelphia all the way to Forest County, we all need to be connected. And so I appreciate all of the support and you being at the table and able to share what you've experienced, whether you're at a sugar mapling operation in the northern tier or down in a mushroom farm in Chester County or in some of our most beautiful orchards.
Yeah, you can see it all right here from a
Absolutely.
stone's throw from where we're sitting, right? All of that's part of ag.
Absolutely.
So honored to do it. It's fun to work with you. Thank you.
Oh, it's my
Thanks
pleasure.
for the support.
And I will look forward to working with you through your confirmation process.
Look forward to it.
And just want to thank you.
Good.
One last thing. So if anyone's watching and they're going to head out to the farm show, what's new? What should they not miss?
Yeah, I think, listen, if you're going to come into the farm show, there's a couple things I always point out. One, you should look at this area in the main floor to know what we produce, right? First, and everything else will make sense if you know those apples and the pollinators and the potatoes are really just rooted here, right? These are things that are really critical to us. And then take a look at the food and try to meet some of the people. Walk over, look at the conservation. Both of us live here in this beautiful central PA and Chesapeake Bay region. Go spend time looking at conservation work, right? And what's actually on the landscape of Pennsylvania. So, and then have another milkshake and walk back this way. So.
Well, the good news is If you drink your milkshake walking around the farm show, there's no calories.
No, they just walk them off, right?
Right, exactly.
You can get they're strategically placed. One here to get you to the other side.
So you can pick up another one.
Go there and come on back.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Secretary
All the
Redding,
best.
thank
Thank
you.
you.